Hello and welcome to At the Heart of Health with Dr. James Marcum. In today's well-marketed world, it's hard to know who or even what to believe when it comes to health care. In each program, Dr. Marcum, a board-certified behavioral cardiologist, takes a balanced approach using common sense modern medicine and the ultimate source of truth, the Bible, recognizing that at the heart of health is love.
I'm Dr. James Marcum, and welcome to the Heart of Health. We're going to be talking with Jim Eyre, who's traveled all over the world and has seen healing and miracles that's been performed. One of the things that's interesting about Heart of Health is we're one of the few health shows out there, one of the few programs that doesn't necessarily focus on technology. You know, we hear a lot about in the United States how we can have this, the MRIs, the CAT scan, the fancy surgeries, the nanotechnology. Well, there's more to healing, there's more to medicine than focusing on that things. And I think we need to hear about some of these things, Jim, and I'm glad you're here to talk about some of the things that you've seen, some of the things that you've experienced around the world.
I'm glad to be here, Jim.
Well, it's nice to hear. Tell us about yourself, your journey, how you got this place where you're traveling all over the world making this television program called Making Waves. How did you start this, and where do you see it going?
Well, it's kind of an interesting journey, because after God woke me up and I came out of I term it the pit of hell, basically, I became a Christian. And after a while, I started making a lot of money. I started everything that in the United States would be termed as success, I had. I was a player on Capitol Hill. I had my own radio talk show. I had appearances on television, and et cetera, et cetera. My business was very successful, but I really wasn't completely happy with life. And then one day, through another series of events, basically God touched my heart, touched my life, and I started going out and saying, I've got to do something else. And I started going on mission trips, and I started taking medical personnel, and we started treating people in different countries, and soon I started also doing evangelism, and that one thing led to the other, and here I am today doing a job that I just love so much.
Wow. Now, would you agree with me, and I want to let our listeners think about this for a moment, would you agree that we're all healers?
Oh, absolutely. So in a way that probably nobody really thinks about.
Yeah, and you know, I've thought of that many times. As a cardiologist, sometimes I just fix a symptom or put a Band-Aid on it. But you know, in looking through the research, when we make someone laugh or we have love in a life, we're changing their chemistry.
Absolutely.
And just,
absolutely.
You know, and I'm sure you've seen that love that can actually change a chemistry.
Well, let me give you an example. Actually, the ministry I'm involved in is a worldwide radio ministry, Adventist World Radio. We broadcast in about 80 of the world's major languages. We contextualize it for the people in their culture, their language, everything else about it. In this one particular country, Ethiopia, a young lady was counseling other women about drugs, about pregnancy, about various things in life. But all the time she's counseling with others, she's feeling terrible herself. She confided in me, she says, my life was horrible. It was a shambles, it was in ruins, and I didn't know what to do. Well, she's driving down the road one day and she's thinking, I'm going to commit suicide. That became her final desire is, this life is no good anymore. I can't find anything that will help me physically, mentally, spiritually, and so I'm going to commit suicide. She happened to turn on the radio, and there was some music she enjoyed, and she began listening to the music for a moment. It turned out it was our station, and a minute or two later, someone came on and shared about the joy that they'd found in accepting Jesus into their life, and there'd been this transformation in their lives, this healing, if you will.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she thought, wow, and she began listening more, and each day she listened, and soon she accepted Christ into her life. And she said, Jim, she says, now I counsel these ladies in a whole different way. She says, I can give them eternal hope. I give them hope right now, but she said, tremendous hope that I never had before. And so I look at that as a real healing process in a way that maybe we don't think of. Yeah. And each one of us have that opportunity to share with others that there is a better life. You see, we weren't created for this few years we have here on planet Earth. God created us for an eternity. So we weren't created for time, we were created for eternity. And when people all of a sudden grasp that, it's healing in our lives.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. And we're going to have more stories and more sharing, more talking about. We're going to be a little bit out of the box today.
Well, I've got a lot of great stories for you, Jim.
We might be talking a little bit about what people don't normally hear on the media. We always hear about the technology. We always hear about what man can do and the newest gadget or the newest pill coming out. Well, today we're going to talk about what God's doing, not only here, but sort of our ultimate plan. Friends, stay with us for this exciting program. We will be right back after this short break. I'm Dr. James Marcum, and I talk to patients every day who want to know the truth in healthcare. On our website, heartwiseministries.org, you can have your questions answered. You can read my blog where I talk about interesting and controversial subjects in medicine. You might choose to go to the radio or television sections and learn more about all sorts of health topics. Take the time and go to heartwiseministries.org.
You can easily spend $90 on an expensive meal out. How about investing $89.94 in your future? Just think about the possibility of coming off those prescription pills and getting rid of all the side effects. Think about feeling better than you have ever felt in your life. This is all possible for you. For only $89.94, you will receive a 7-part DVD series, Weight Management by the Book, a 30-lesson workbook with over 100 recipes, and if ordered today, exercise tubes will be included for free to help with your journey. There are many programs available, but this unique program has identified the truth about how to manage weight. This program is not available in stores. This limited offer will not last long. Pick up the phone now and dial 877-504-9628. Operators are standing by. This call will change your life forever.
Two words for you. Pop quiz. Ready? Name any funny movie. A drama. Name a mystery. And one more thing. Name the movie your kids saw today in science class.
Know what really matters. Know about your kid's school. And know about your kid. Find out 100 ways to know more, do more.
Welcome back to Heart of Health. Thank you for joining us. And if you missed our first segment, Jim Eyre, who's traveled all around the world with a television ministry, with radio, is here with us. Jim, I was just thinking about, why should someone watch a program, Heart of Health? What makes us different? What makes us special? And we're not about making money. We're not selling a product. We don't have an herb to sell or a prescription medicine. But at the same time, I think by talking to you, I think our listeners will realize that there's something much more out there that can heal, that can change a life, something that doesn't cause any side effects, that's something that touches your heart. As we sit here, I'm sure things are running through your mind. Do you have anything that you'd like to share as far as some of the experience you had that might let our listeners know that it's more about what we're hearing in our media? It's more about the technology. It's more than just about the medicine. There's something more out there.
As I travel around, it's exciting to me because I get to talk to people around the world who have heard a radio program, just a radio program, and they begin listening. And all of a sudden, their entire lives are changed. And you say, there's got to be more than just airwaves. There's got to be more than they just connected up to a program and a program they like. There's something behind that program. And that, what I believe, because I found it in my own life, it's a peace that comes from a God who loves us. Mm-hmm. Now, I know, as you say, this is a health program, but that's where the real health begins, is finding peace and happiness through a God who originally made us, not for the mess that we're in, but He created us for a wonderful life, and that's where He wants to bring us back to. An example, one young lady was a prostitute, and she had a child out of wedlock, and this child was sick, and she loved the child dearly. Well, she went to every doctor she could, and there was no healing for this child, it seemed. One day she turns on the radio and she begins hearing other people sharing their testimonies about how God had healed them. And she thought, I'm going to send a letter to that radio station, ask them to pray for my son. And if there is a God up there, if there is any kind of God anywhere, that he will heal this child, and I'll believe in him. You know, she sent in that letter, and 2 days later, and I think that's about the time it took for the mail to get there, her child was healed. And now I've been with her, and she just radiates. I mean, just a beautiful glow. And that's what I've seen in so many people in villages, in mountain areas, in cities. There's something just different. You can pick out these people out of a crowd because they almost have a glow about them. It's exciting. I mean, I could share story after story of changed lives, Jim, because of this power that comes in and takes over a person's life.
Wow. You know, in the world we live in, it's so fast-paced. You know, everyone wants to think about me, I. And the selfishness pervades, but really at the heart of health is really love. And that love comes, you know, we weren't created to live the life we're living.
Yeah.
You know, we were created to have something much more. And that's the message in health that we all have to get it. So the health and the spiritual part are one, and they go together.
Absolutely. Do we have time for another
Yes,
story?
we do.
Let me share one that I'd heard about a fortune teller in this one particular area in Africa. So I went to visit this fellow. He'd been a fortune teller for 42 years. And if you don't believe the fortune tellers, if you're in that village and you don't believe the fortune teller, you could die. And if people do die, they say it's because they didn't listen to the fortune teller. Well, this fellow heard our program, and he was astonished. He'd never heard anything like it. And soon he accepted Jesus into his life, and he shared with someone else in the village, and then someone else. And soon as he shared, more and more people began believing. And this continued around the village until there was about 30 people that were believing. Now, it's interesting, in a prison far away, there had been a fellow from that very village. He had turned on the radio, heard the same program, and he accepted the Lord into his life. Now, he couldn't wait to get home to tell more people in the village. He didn't know what was already going on there. He got home and he was astounded, but he began telling more people. And soon they had a whole large group, Jim, of believers, but now they needed a place to meet. They were worshiping out in the dust and under the trees. They went to a lady's house and said, "You have a large house. Can we meet in your house?" While they were in discussions with this lady, she died. Now, I had 5 men. I was interviewing all 5 men. And every man to a person, I guess the way I'd say it, everyone said she died. But now that lady was standing right there in the middle of this group of men. These men had prayed for her, and God had raised her back up to life, and she'd given her home to the church now.
Wow.
And I mean, you talk about healing in multiple ways. God healed an entire village, and then he raised up this woman, and that village is transformed.
Yeah, and you know, this is the type of medicine, this is the type of healing we have to get back to. Because as we get back to the original plan, then everything else makes sense. You know, God does use modern medicine, and God uses other people to heal. Friend, these stories are very exciting, and I hope you don't go away, and we'll be right back.